let's review the integer operation rules. Remember, if we're adding integers with the same sign, we add and keep the sign. If we're adding integers with different signs, we subtract, always the larger number minus the smaller number, and we keep the big guy sign, or the integer that has the greater absolute value, or the integer that's furthest away from 0. If we are subtracting integers, remember that subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. So we would keep the first number as it is, change the subtraction sign to an addition sign, take the opposite of the second number, and then we just follow the add rules. If we're multiplying or dividing integers, if they have the same sign, the product or the quotient will be positive. If the numbers have different signs, the product or quotient will be negative. Now, before we look at some expressions, let's remind ourselves of the order of operations. The order that we operate, we always do parentheses first, what's inside the parentheses. Then we move on to exponents. Then we multiply and divide from left to right. You always multiply and divide from the left to the right. Finally, we add and subtract. Same direction, from the left side of the expression to the right side. Let's look at number 1. We have 5 plus 36 divided by negative 6. Here I have division. I need to divide first. So I'm dividing a positive and a negative. So they have different signs, right? And if they have different signs, my quotient will be negative. So I'm still going to have 5 plus, I know that the quotient here is going to be negative. Now that I've established my sign, I simply do 36 divided by 6, which I know is 6. So now I'm left with 5 plus negative 6. So I'm adding integers with different signs. If I add with different signs, I subtract and keep the big guy sign. So let's subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1, and keep the sign of the big guy. 6 is the big guy, right? It's furthest away from 0, and so I keep its sign. So my sum here, 5 plus negative 6, is negative 1. Number 2. In this expression, I see that I have division and I have multiplication right here, right? Because parentheses are written right next to one another. So I multiply and divide from left to right. So let's start on the left side. So I'm only going to look at this right here, negative 21 divided by 7. I see that I'm dividing with different signs. Different signs, I have a negative quotient. Okay, so my quotient is going to be negative. Once I've established the sign, then I look at 21 divided by 7, which I know is 3. Okay, bring the rest of this down. I still need to add 4 times negative 5, right? That's what the parentheses are telling me. It's multiplication. So I have addition and multiplication left. I need to multiply first. So I'm going to have negative 3 plus whatever this is. I'm multiplying, and they have different signs. Different signs, product's negative. Okay, so this is going to be negative, and then 4 times 5 I know is 20. Final step here, I'm adding integers with the same sign, and so I need to add and keep the sign. Add and keep the sign. 3 plus 20 is 23. Keep the sign. The sign's negative, so my sum is negative. Negative 23. Number 3 here, I have division. This is multiplication in addition. So I need to multiply and divide from left to right. So start on the left side. I have to do this first. I have to do 25 divided by negative 5. Signs are different, so my quotient's going to be negative. 25 divided by 5 is 5. I still need to multiply by negative 3 and then add negative 8. Okay? So next, I need to multiply, right? I got to multiply before I can add. So multiply. These have the same sign, negative times negative. It's the same sign, so my product will be positive. 5 times 3 is 15. Still need to add negative 8. Add negative 8. Okay? Now here I can know that adding a negative is the same thing as subtraction, or I can say they have different signs, so I need to subtract. 15 minus 8 is 7, and then keep the sign of the big guy. 15 is the big guy, it's positive, so my sum is positive 7. Number 4, I need to multiply and divide from left to right. So let's divide first, right, because that's what's on the furthest to the left. So I have 16 divided by negative 4. So bring 10 down. 16 divided by negative 4. Signs are different, so my quotient will be negative. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, still need to multiply by 2 and then add 6. Okay, next I'm looking for, here I have multiplication. Got to multiply before I can add and subtract. So I still have 10 minus, now what is negative 4 times 2? Well, the signs are different, so my product is negative. 4 times 2 is 8. Still need to add 6. Okay. Finally, I have addition and subtraction. So I add and subtract from left to right. So start over here. 10 minus negative 8. Remember, if you subtract a negative, it's the same thing as adding. I could say to myself slash slash. Those negative signs become positives. So I have 10 plus 8, still plus 6. So now I'm just adding all positive numbers. 10 plus 8 is 18. 18 plus 6 is 24. Of course, the sign is positive. Last one, word problem. On Saturday, Mr. Schultz bought 5 pairs of socks for $3 each, so 5 socks, $3 each, and a shirt for $11. Then he found a $5 bill on the sidewalk, and so over the course of Saturday, what was the change in the amount of money for Mr. Schultz? So he bought 5 socks for $3, so 5 pairs of socks, and he's paying $3 each on them. So because he's paying money, that's a negative sign, right? He's losing money on that because he's buying these socks. Okay, then he bought a shirt for $11, so he pays $11 more dollars. So because he's buying it, that's a negative sign, right? He's losing money on that. But then he found $5, so I'm going to add $5 to that, right? Now let's evaluate this. 5 times negative 3, that's going to be negative 15, right? Because signs are different. Then I add negative 11, add 5. Okay. Here I have negative 15 plus negative 11. Same signs, add and keep the signs. So that's negative 26. Still need to add 5. This is the last step. Here I'm adding integers with different signs. So different signs, I subtract 26 minus 5 is 21, and keep the sign of the big guy. 26 is the big guy, it's negative, so my sum is negative. And so over the course of the day, he had a negative 21 change, which means he spent $21, or he had $21 less than what he started with.